So for a very long time, I had one interesting fact about myself that I loved to go with in any new gathering I was in, and it was. If they ask me say one interesting thing about yourself, I'll say I'm a compensation analyst, and people will go like, okay, what does that mean? I always had to explain what I did. Hi, my name is Mercy, and what I do is unpack HR research and explain why your workplace behaves the way it does to you. And today I want to talk about compensation analysis because it affects everybody. Like I said, when people ask me, what do you do? I always have to say, I'm a compensation analyst, and I'll have to start explaining. And sometimes if I didn't want to explain, I'll just say I work in HR. But compensation analysis is a branch of HR that really big organizations can afford to do. What this means is that they go into markets and pull, I'm going to say the HR jargon and I'm going to explain it in normal English. They go into the market and pull salary data. There's what we call salary market data. We pull market data and use that data to make decisions for salaries across the different countries that we work in. Now, I'm going to explain things like market and salary data because, yes, it's quite complex. So the way you go to the market to buy like tomato and pepper and onions, in HR, there's something we call salary market or a job market. A job market, for example, just tells you where you're going, because if you're going to be employing in Nigeria, you're going to be employing people in Nigeria to work. So the market is the number of available talents that are available for you to hire or recruit. And that includes people that are working for other organizations too. So in case you had to move people from one organization to another, like poach them in. And this market has actual data. We have salaries that organizations pay their employees. We have skill sets that many Nigerians have. Like if you look into research, you see all of these things. I've been doing a very interesting research and I have a report coming out soon that shows skills that Nigerians are lacking, skills that most jobs even require of you right now so that you can harness those skills. But we actually have a market. Now, a compensation analyst goes into that market, pulls the data for that market. For example, in my industry, maybe I work in the development industry or in fintech. What does an average developer, senior developer earn, or a backend developer earn in my industry? Then I use that data to determine where I want to place them. So it doesn't even necessarily mean, because I hear this thing when I say I want to review your compensation, people think, oh, you want to pay at the top of the market. It's not strategic to even pay the highest salary in the market. So when you are collecting compensation data, like what people pay, it's not because you want to pay your employees at the top of the market. That's not very cost effective. It's that you want to be somewhere in the middle, competitive. So maybe not too high that it's over expensive for you, and not too low that you are not getting the best hands. So you want to stay around somewhere, like we have what we call percentiles, like the 50th percentile, the 75th percentile. So you want to stay within like between the 50th and the 75th. That's what I've done for all the years I've been a compensation analyst, and I've worked in over 42 countries, and that's what we did. That range is quite best, so that people can come into your market, your organization at market. There's what we call market price. So that's market price. 50th percentile is market price, which means you are paying averagely for that position. So that's what being a compensation analyst meant for me, or that's what compensation analysis is. And yes, it's not just for salaries, for allowances, benefits, number of paid time off. In some countries, we call it leave, retirement benefits, or pension, like we call it in Nigeria. Stuff like that. So we are not checking only for salary data, we're checking for benefits like professional development. And it's also interesting because you can use this data to create something very unique to yourself. So for example, there was a very popular organization that didn't pay so well in terms of salary, but they had these benefits where they paid all of your pension. So in Nigeria, employers pay 10% of the employee's pension remittance annually or monthly, and the employee pays 8% to complete 18%. This organization was paying the 20%, with I think it was even 20%. So it was supposed, Nigerians' mandatory pension remittance is 18%, but this organization was paying 20%. So because of their strategy to say, oh, we're going to pay all of your pension, the candidate kind of take their mind off the fact that they were not very competitive in the market. So having that market data doesn't necessarily mean you want to pay the highest in the market. Is that you can use that data and maybe curate something that works for the set of employees you have. So for example, if you work in a tech organization and you have younger employees, they like paid time, they like time off, they like flexible work. You may want to now focus that your strategy to be on not really paying above everybody else, but maybe considering doing a lot of flex work, working at their own pace, because that's also some sort of reward. And another thing where it gets interesting is that you can literally curate, and that's where the creativity comes in. You can design compensation that kind of fits your demography of employees, the country, local context. Like I said, it's in 42 countries. Some countries don't care about too much salary, but care about other things. Do you understand? So that's where it is. And yes, there's a bit of legal statutory. What is statutory? Because you have to pay what statutory. And then there's a bit of market data, like I said, and economics. So inflation happens. What do you do with people's salary at that point? There's a bit of all of this. And that's why my job was so interesting. And that's why I even fell in love with HR research, because it had to do a lot with research. And this brings me back to Nigeria. That's how salaries for big companies are made. Like, because they can afford, by the way, the data is not free, it's bought. So they can afford to buy those data, and it's like thousands of dollars. It's not cheap. So for an average Nigerian organization that cannot buy data, cannot afford $2,000, $3,000 per year to buy compensation data. In fact, there's no even data to buy. That's the sad part, because most of this data is not for local organizations, for international organizations that operate within the countries. But when they can't afford those things, how do they make salary decisions? Well, Google, ChatGPT, looking for averages. Not all jobs even show what salaries are being paid. So it's literally, Glassdoor is a very horrible source, but some people use Glassdoor. I'll save that video for another day, how I found out that some people still use Glassdoor data to make salary decisions. But yeah, some people use Glassdoor. Some people if you go to Glassdoor and you check your organization, that's how you know that Glassdoor is a very horrible database for Nigeria, because I'm sure when you check, you'll be like, no, this is not what they pay in my organization. But yes, people use Glassdoor, people use just the internet, because right now we're still winging it. Hopefully, I'm going to change that someday. But right now we're still winging it, right? So, but basically, that's what compensation analysis is about, basically, because there's a deeper part, job architecture, how to benchmark the jobs to the salaries is a lot of work. But that's basically what compensation analysis is about. If you enjoyed this video and you want to hear more things like this, please leave your comments in the comment section. Tell me your experience in your organization. Tell me some things that you experienced and you want me to do some research about, and I'll be back here with research about it. Don't forget to comment on the video, like the video, and share with your friends if you did enjoy the video. Thank you so much for watching.